Welcome to my channel, brothers and sisters. It's the 8th, no, got it wrong. It's the 9th of October, Wednesday, 2024. The time is 11:14. Let this day be remembered in history. For charges against me over some verbal abuse in the church, which I do not recall, do not remember, which made it worse, because now they think that I'm off my friggin' head. I am very respectful when I go to church. I must have talked to somebody, but I do not remember discriminating or anything against anyone. This is my channel. I can make these videos. Apparently it's something I said, like go fuck yourself or something to somebody. I don't remember saying that. I don't remember ever swearing in any church. Yes, I do swear on the outside. Somebody could have pissed me off, but I would never swear in a church or give that type of impression that I was dangerous or anything. So I had a committee meeting. I'm not even baptized in that church, and they removed me. Not even a second chance. Now, this is worse than the LDS Mormon church because they don't involve police or anything. They sort it out. They will just tell you, you don't repent, you don't get to heaven. But this church, they didn't damn me for my salvation or tell me I'm going to burn in hell or anything. They just told me I could never come back, and they would involve the police if I speak to any of these sisters, because it was a sister. The brothers were okay, but not in the church, on the outside. If anyone gossips back and says, oh, he spoke to me or something, like a restraining order sort of thing, but not, I do not comprehend for a moment ever swearing in the church or saying something inappropriate like that. Outside the church, I might say a few things. Now, this, I don't know if it's a setup or been framed, because I have taken the bull by the horns. Every question that I don't understand, I feel that I'm being judged. I question, and I have been getting answers. But in fact, the very guy that was given answers in the Bible study is the one that turned against me like a cut snake. He was part of the committee for kicking me out, and he just straight out said, you lied, you can't even tell who the person was. My goodness, I was not lying. I do not recall. I do not remember ever having used an F word or anything in a church. I'll get over it. It's just, I'm shocked. I'm just so shocked this actually happened, and they were just ready to call the police if I was to stand up to the pastor, and he tried to bully me a bit, saying, I'm the pastor here, this is my job. Of course, I'm not allowed to film in the church. I didn't even know the YouTube site that they film it anyway. But the other pastor, he was really cool. You could do anything like that, and he was a great pastor. He got kicked out for pirating a sermon, which was illegal, so he got kicked out. But this is some type of verbal thing I said, and it's come up as some type of sexual discriminating act. I can't think of ever saying anything like that in a church. I go to church rather happy and clappy and praise and sing and everything, and I sit pretty much with the same group, and I just can't think of anyone. I mention a few names, and the pastor says, nope, but we're not going to tell you who it is. You figure it out. But because you cannot give the name, you shall be removed and never return. As if I was covering up. No friggin' way. Now, it's given me a little bit of a soft spot for the LDS Church, because they would never involve police in that. And this other guy said, I'm going to report this to the police, that you're a discriminating verbal abuser in the church. But the pastor seemed to be a little bit more lenient, and he just said, just don't talk to any sisters in the church, because if they gossip back to me, it will be reported to the police, and to remove every video over the last 3 years of filming in the church. Which is nothing but more than hymns and praises and things. But I know the pastor got upset. Oh, my wife's in that video. Oh, shit, my daughter's in that video. I'm worrying about what anyone might have said it got captured on video, but I watch it and I check it out. It was nothing inappropriate at all. But anyway, it's removed. I must have removed about 40, 50 videos, short ones. So here I am, and nobody's online because it's very late at night, and I'm pouring out all my frustrations, my pain, and my shock, and my little bit of anger. But I aren't scared of anyone. After putting up with some very heavy duty type of people over the years, life-threatening. So, but they seem to feel protected, and this pastor is pretty strong in his position and pretty convinced, 1,000%, he said, that this person who comes to church is righteous in the Lord and would never lie. Believe me, I know people that are very fundamentally righteous in churches who do lie and they do gossip. So somebody want to remove me. Plus my YouTube videos, they did it. I think they announced that they saw a few, and that was enough. And somebody obviously took a dislike and reported me for something. I don't even know what it is. All I do is expose deceptions of religions. And at this moment, despite those Mormon missionaries who come here and shook the dust off their feet and said, you're lost without the priesthood, all that nonsense, I will have to say they don't go running to the police daddy. They're not like that. They're more likely to just give you a warning about your eternal salvation or damnation. And I look at it now and I think, wow, I must admit the LDS Church didn't bring the law into it, because they are a law unto themselves because they hold this priesthood. But these buggers, they just want to hand it over to the cops and say that I discriminated or said something to somebody, and I just don't remember. I really don't. They said I didn't show any humility or contrite spirit. I says, sure I would if I knew who it was, and if I'm guilty, of course I would. But I really did not recall. Because I go to church, even if I drag myself, always turns out a good day and I'll have a happy day. I just can't remember. If I did, and I find out somehow, like in the Mormon church, it took me 7 years to find out after removed what was the problem. And the problem, the Mormon church was a more of a, we call it, religious, political, doctrinal issue and so forth. I had come back from Islam country, and I was preaching in relation to modern day Muhammad Joseph Smith, who called himself that, compared to Muhammad of Islam, and the two angels that deliver the book. And anyway, rumors went around that I was trying to convert people to Islam. The bombs were going to drop, put the shits up the bishops, the leaders, and that sort of thing. And I did tell one woman, she said, oh, my daughter's converted to Islam. Oh, she's left the Mormon church. She can't become a goddess or something. She can't be married in the temple forever and all this. And I turned around without thinking. I said, oh, good on her. I mean, in other words, because I was already out of the church and I didn't give a stuff anyway. And I just thought, well, maybe she's realised the judgment nonsense in it. But then again, going from Mormonism to Islamism is Muslimism is sort of similar in a lot of ways. It's strict, maybe more strict in the Mormon church. But anyway, that's one issue. And the other issue is that I had received a revelation in the temple that I would have a daughter named Melanie, which did actually happen years later, around a decade later. And I wrote a letter to the bishop and said, how is this going to happen? My wife cannot get pregnant. She's infertile. She can't have another child and everything. Now, he must have told his wife, and the wife went and told all the sisters, and that next thing, all these letters come in to the bishop saying that I was screwing around and chasing women or something, and sex trafficking and drugs and everything, cops and everything, bashing me against the wall. It was all made up lies. I was 10% guilty of even confessing it, and that's why I don't like confessing to these man-made, these pastors, popes, bishops, prophets, priests, pastors, even the pastors now. And that got me removed for 7 friggin' years. And yeah, there's a couple other things just in relation more politically. I exposed that there are Danites in the Mormon church, like the Jesuits in the Catholic Church, the hitmen, and I knew them, and that scared the shit out of them. And they knew the person, and that person's a high priest, gone up the ranks, had a temple marriage, everything. Told me this was Lord Lucifer's kingdom at the head of the pyramid and everything. Oh, they just love the Mormon church. But just the fact that I knew this guy, that was 3 reasons to be removed. All right. So there was a gossip club definitely going around then, and it destroyed my marriage. That did, after all the war and terrorism I went through, because my wife at the time was a political war correspondent, journalist. But this episode tonight, this was some verbal thing that I had spoken towards a woman in the church, actually on a Sunday, and this happened in the last 6 months. I cannot think of anyone where I have actually spoke and said anything inappropriate. And they absolutely convinced by the standards of this high moral sister in the church, I don't know what age, whatever, has spoken out against me and had me removed. Not even a second chance. So there you go. Now in some ways I'm happy, because it just makes me realize the Mormon church, at least like the Catholic church, do keep things hush-hush. I don't mean don't keep things hush-hush in relation to serious crimes and things, and cover up, but this is on a borderline of a crime, because I discriminated, and I suppose I could get fined $1,000 or something. I mean, I got a mate in the church. He's got a restraining order against him after a decade of divorce, and he was just being nice to his ex. When she walked past the coffee shop, she just got on the phone, rang the police, had him arrested because he's got a restraining order, and $1,000 fine or something. That's just terrible. This man has given his heart to the Lord. He's he's done ministry and everything, and he was kicked out of the church for a decade. He's come back. Now, none of them know what's going on at the moment, except I was kicked out of Bible study. I wasn't even able to sit in there, and the office was outside. Though there was one inside, they took me outside so I wouldn't even step a foot in the building, and told me to be removed. And my last words were, if this woman who gossiped or said something like this lied, she'd be held accountable, and I wouldn't be held accountable, because maybe it was set up. I don't know. And I even said this is an excuse to get rid of me. I don't know, but I know that when I was in Bible study, the old gentleman who used to be a Baptist minister said, one of you is a wolf in sheep's clothing, dangerous, and probably need to be removed from the church. And I brought it up the following week. Is it me? Like Judas, No. And he didn't speak. But the other guy that kicked me out tonight, who was assisting the pastor, he said, no, it's not you, it's somebody else in this church. And I thought, well, maybe it's me mate that got kicked out of the church, having going through a domestic with his wife and separated, and it was, he was a drunk and everything. But I'll tell you what, this guy's given his heart to the Lord, and he's the only one I'm going to be able to turn to, because he's never judged me, not even for a smoke. He goes and buys a smoke or a drink for his neighbour, and he's out street preaching every day, and his own mate went and became a Bible scholar, pastor, and come back judgmental, and even judged him. Got up himself with authority and ranks and positions. And this pastor, when I first met him, was really nice. He actually was quite vulnerable and kind of felt intimidated and everything. And now he's got the balls. He stood up. But the thing is, because he's been overseas and places like Africa and all that, and probably been shot at and all that sort of thing. And he's getting a good paid job here. But anyway, they all like him. That the other pastor was kicked out for pirating, and I liked him. I won't mention any names. But he knows this person and of good standing and righteous, so I know how demons work, demonic influence anyway. I just cannot recall it. I really cannot. I've never been out, never said anything, a swear word or something like that in a church. Right, so this is baffling to my mind. I'll probably never know. This is worse than the LDS Church in one respect, because at least I found out after 7 years, thanks to my wife at the time who went and questioned to get some answers, and that's what she was told after 7 years of never knowing. This is even worse because I don't know. This is a different type of church. It's got a different curriculum system, and they don't deal with it. They don't give you second chances. They just call the police if somebody's discriminating. Now, I'm quite a compassionate, merciful guy. A transvestite walked into church once, and I said, "How you doing, brother?" What a fight we had. She absolutely attacked me and swore everything. And of course, the other pastor, he was on my side, and his family, and said, "What's going on here?" And they all told me later that I was right because I didn't know. I didn't look. She said, "You didn't look at my tits. Can't you see that I'm a woman?" Looked like a guy to me with long hair. And anyway, I even made up with him because I went across the coffee shop, and met him. And I made up with him and said, "You're welcome anytime. I didn't mean to call you brother. I should have called you sister because it was transvestite." See, he came back a few times and everything. He was quite happy. But he had this woman looking after him, a carer. And she was dressed like a Muslim, a veil with white. I thought it might have been her that gossiped, because one day I just went up and I just tapped her on the shoulder to thank her for looking after this trans like a carer. And she, "Don't touch me." It really offended, because obviously she might have been raped or something in her younger years, and she just hates men. Oh my goodness. And then this transvestite got beaten up and robbed and got his legs broken or something, ended up in a wheelchair, and had a real bad time, and really a political person too, standing up for gay rights and everything. But anyway, so I outreach, and if I was a pastor, I would outreach with anyone coming off the street. Now, a mental patient escaped while the carer was at church, but he was at home or something, and he wandered in the church. He just walked straight up to the pastor and he says, "Show some love and compassion. I've got," he had a problem. And pastor said, "Sit down or leave, because this is my platform and I get to say here. And if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me after the church," because he interrupted the church. He looked a bit angry. And that particular day wasn't very well. And I noticed they were talking out the front. I just wish I had have engaged, because these are the sort of people that I outreach on my video. And of course, he never got a second chance. He could never come back. So, but what he did was embarrassing. But anyway, he left. So anyway, this is what's going on in churches that have all this sort of committees and curriculums and things. I believe it's man-made. I don't believe Jesus would not go after the one lost sheep. It's a verbal thing, and my goodness, you see, we're living in an age now where if a child puts his finger in an electric socket about to be electrocuted, and you smack him and he goes and tells the police, "Daddy smacked me," a man can be arrested and go to jail and pay a fine. You see, everything's upside down, changed around. Now, this discriminating thing. I didn't discriminate against the transvestite, I have to say, sister in Christ. I showed a lot of compassion. I didn't have to. There was all this swearing and everything going on, F this, F that, and oh my goodness. Doesn't matter if the kids are around or anything. So I'm being really compassionate for the last 3 years, and I don't think I deserve this. But obviously God allowed it for a reason. So it's making me appreciate where I've come from. A church that doesn't disclose private information to the feds or police or, what do you call it, public. They keep it private. And I got to respect them for that. And they give you a chance to sort it out over the years. But not this church. Ready to bring the cops and everything. If I even stood up to the pastor, and I had to stand up a bit, but my goodness, he was getting all ready. He was ready to have a fight, but he backed off. So anyway, I had to remove every video that I've made in the church. Nothing bad about it. Or they would take up further action. Yep. So I had about 50 videos I had to delete. Okay, Shiloh Sonoware's online. and she's speaking. How is your housewife? You are okay. What do you mean, housewife? I'm on my own for the last, how many? Almost 20 years. But I did go to visit my grandchildren and so forth recently. A catch up, that was fine. I've got grandchildren on both sides of the family. My blood children, grandchildren is on one side, and the other side is my step grandchildren. I don't like to call them step grandchildren. They're beautiful kids, and they respect me, and they're from an Indian culture. All right, big difference. And they don't block me or attack me over my preaching. So that's the difference. Okay, so that's if that's what you mean. I don't have a housewife, but I know you, Sheila. You've come on my channel quite a few times. There's 3 people. You're going to have to watch this video from the beginning to know the information I exchanged in relation to myself and the injustice that I feel has been done against me in the church and been kicked out. I have no recollection of whatsoever swearing in a church or outside the church, whatever, but not in the church. And you have to watch the video to find out exactly what I had said. And the person that said it could have gossiped, some high-standing member, and I mentioned a few names. That wasn't it. Wasn't anything to do with my videos, nothing. Though somebody could have watched my videos and took revenge from the church, and then could have started up all the gossip, and I don't know. But this is one of the evils that I preach against, gossip. Now, if I did swear at the church and whatever, my goodness, just tell me who it was, and so I can remember it, and I will repent. And because I didn't remember it, they just said, nah, you're lying, you're covering up, you're out of here. I couldn't remember because I don't swear in the church. How about you? No friggin' way. I mean, I did call the Mormon bishop an arsehole, but that's not F, is it? Just an arsehole. Because he had removed me without telling me, and it broke my marriage. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. You know what? I can get over that. After all these years, I had hatred and bitterness towards the church, but they never went to the police over anything like what wasn't any reason for, because I was excommunicated, everything. Now this is different. This is sippy cup Christians, politically correct in every way, in the sense of I thought the Grace Church, you could tell a joke or something. I mean, I did tell a joke once at the church among the group, and I got told off for that. Like I told Catholic nun jokes, priest jokes. I did get attacked for that. Okay, fair enough. But this is different. This was some sister, supposedly high moral, high standard, righteous, that attends the church, because it happened at the church on a Sunday, who's actually spoke against me and come up with all this a verbal thing I said discriminating. I would never do that. I'm very compassionate, and if I was a pastor or bishop, I notice you coming through the door, and I'm ready to speak to anyone, no matter what walk of life, even a mental patient that escaped. Like this pastor just said, get out, you're not welcome. It's my platform, and you're not going to come here and stand up here and start preaching to me. I'm the preacher. See, this is the difference between him and me. And we'll see what happens in the long term, because they are so convinced that they're right about something which really is nothing compared to, real criminals. Like I say to some of the cops, go and arrest real criminals out there who get away with murder and everything. 2 people online still. So anyway, just offloading this. I'll get over it in about 3 days. I just got to keep a watch out, because I can't talk to any of these sisters in the church ever, not even in public. Because if any one of them gossip and say, oh, he spoke to me, or we know, I don't know how many is going to find out, because you know what gossip's like. But I can talk to the brothers outside the church. But one particular brother who's been attacking me for smoking, which most of them say, oh, don't listen to him, just stay away from him. He hasn't responded when I asked him, was it him that organised this interview with the pastor? It's been I've known it for a few days because I rang the pastor. He booked it in, and he wouldn't, and even the pastor wouldn't tell me what it was about. And he hasn't replied. He won't answer the question. So this is what he hates smokers. Well, I don't like drinkers. I don't hate them, but I just don't like. I don't drink. And in the Muslim world, everybody used to smoke almost, women too, but they wouldn't touch a drink. It was forbidden. And I couldn't preach if I was drinking. So, yeah, I don't know. There are just people that you get their goat up and they want to, they think they're set apart or holier or something. And this brother's not even baptized in that church, so he can't even go up the committee. But all the others are. And the head Bible study guy was a witness, and they declared and second the motion, you can say, I'm out of there. You must leave. Just like the Mormon church said, you must leave, and you must leave now, and march me out backwards, ready to poke me in the chest. But you know, this is different. I'm just feeling this is really kind of worldly type of mentality judgment. I mean, the Mormon church were operating from a priesthood, sort of a hierarchy, Illuminati, secret society, hush hush. It was only in the church, and it remained in the church. I think the Catholic Church does the same thing too. But no, I don't believe in covering up for serious crimes. But this mob is ready to call the police just because I supposedly swore or something, and up for like some sexual type of discriminating act or harassment because I told some woman apparently to go F herself or something. I don't know what I said. For goodness sake. And then they said, you come up with the names and we'll tell you if that was the person, but we won't tell you who it is if you don't know who it is. And I brought up a couple names and declared things I shouldn't have. See, I didn't have a lawyer. Just things like, oh yeah, I know one who used to pump needles in her arms, and she could talk about anything. And I don't see her at church every week, but she was a really nice person, and I haven't heard from her either. I've even asked her. But the thing is, I mentioned the name, and the pastor said, nope, it's not her. So who the friggin' hell is it that was actually at the church for over the last, how many months, 6 months, has gone and done this to me? And they just believe the woman. See, in this country, I'll tell you what, in America, if the woman calls the cops, even if the husband's innocent, they have to make an arrest. Now, that happened to me. I'll tell you another thing. This is how my life has been. Innocent until proven guilty. Now, I was married to an American, right, twice actually, and only lasted a year. And I had rumours that the woman I'd married was a porno star, and I even saw the video. I thought, my goodness, that's my wife. And she was a Mormon, and she'd repented and come back in the church wanting a holy marriage. But anyway, besides the point, I was in America, and her gay son kicked out of the army, and the husband was also an army man. He got kicked out. And I'm sitting there, everything's all hokey-dory, all good, and he took me by the hand into the bedroom and sat me on the bed, and he said, I want a stepfather. He was opening up and tears and compassion. I thought, this is great. Okay, I can be a father. He's young enough. He's only a kid, like 15 or something, 16. Or was he in the army? No, he must have been 18 because he's in the army. Very young. Next thing, the bloody other kids, the younger ones, rang the friggin' cops and saying, oh, he's molesting our brother. Now, I don't know to this day if that was a setup to break the marriage, because I never saw her again, end up in divorce within a couple of months. Fortunately, it was an agreed divorce. I think they want to get rid of me and go back with the gay father. Because it's really strange, because the first American wife was sort of dating this guy who was totally gay, non-practicing, but really fresh looking. He looked like John Travolta. I actually liked the guy, and she wanted to go for a jog and shopping with him. I let him. Didn't care. Well, guess what happened? She married him after she divorced me, and she broke my nose over coffee. And one night I was staying with this Mormon family here in Australia when she came out. It was New Year's Eve, and I couldn't give a stuff about the firecrackers on New Year's Eve. And the people were staying with said, get out of bed, you bloody root rats. Rats mean sex rats, like I was in there making all this passionate love and everything. That's what well, anyway, I don't remember that, but I don't think so. But anyway, I didn't want to go up. And so she just picked up a boot and broke my nose. I didn't even press charges. And on top of that, she went back to America and got everything signed before we left, because otherwise it would have been really hard to get a divorce. And I had all this gospel music from the church, $1,000 worth of gospel music. And she knew how much I love music. And she went and stole 80-90% of those books, or threw them in the bin or whatever, got rid of them. And that kind of broke my heart. She was jealous over my talent in music. I mean, this is what you get when you marry with blind faith. And we married the proper way. No sex out of marriage, nothing. But we didn't have a temple marriage, God forbid, because the temple president rang up my ex here and said, do you give approval for your husband to remarry? I didn't know the rules of the church. Suddenly I realized you can't get married in the Mormon church again unless you got a 10-year clearance and a letter from the prophet, which I eventually got. And yeah, so I couldn't get married and sealed to it. I spoke to the next prophet personally. Lovely man he was. He said, I'll get him sealed up. It's okay. But the mission president rang the wife. She said, nope. He fell from the Mormon priesthood, or he turned into a beast or something, because we only loved each other on the holy priesthood level. Anyway, the baby died and everything stuffed up. He ended up in divorce. It was her choice. And he refused to marry us. And all these people come all over America in the temple to see this happen. And yet they were all shocked. She ran out of the temple. And they're all shocked, saying, well, what is it you've done so bad, Daryl, that you can't be sealed up to become a guide with this woman? Of course, later on the day, we still got married civilly in the church, not in the temple, because she'd still a virgin and she wanted to experience it all and find out she couldn't have children. She hated sex. Oh my God. She refused to believe after examination that she was infertile, totally infertile, got very violent and stroppy and everything. And then, of course, broke my nose over two things. One was having a coffee ice cream, because Mormons don't touch coffee. And this thing about New Year's Eve, I wouldn't go out and party with the people I was staying with. And those people turned enemies. But I've made up, I think, with the husband. He's actually a great guy, but he wanted to fight me one day, because as I was walking out the church, I said, where's my wife? They had put her on a plane and got rid of her. And I said, leave my life alone or else. I did threaten. And this woman that I had been staying with, the family, just punched me in the nose right there and then started screaming like a Muslim with the tongue, la, 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 la. I think she was an ex-Muslim who became a Mormon. And the husband come running out, and he was got his fists all ready to go and fight me to the death. And all about 5 or 6 priesthood holders restrained him. Right? I was innocent. This woman hit me. I didn't hit her. And he thought I had slapped her in the face. This is what goes on in churches. Maybe not for you. You might be a goody-goody, squeaky clean. But anyway, that's churches. And I know this guy warning the people, YouTuber. He used to be a Baptist minister. He will not step a foot in a church again. He had some situation happen. And he reckons it's all hypocrisy. They make decisions which is not inspired. It's not even Christian. It's just committee vote. You like a vote? You're out. And he preaches a lot of videos. He's very thorough. He's very fundamentally righteous in Christ. And he does give warnings. But anyway, I got to respect him more now, because he's been warning the people about churches, not just cults, but grace churches too, which some would say is not a cult. But, it's not the grace gospel of Paul. It's the committees of the churches that started up, and the people blame Paul for leading all this to happen when he was preaching against it or something. As I said, he wasn't preaching against tradition except worshipping of statues and praying to saints and that, because that came in the Catholic canon 300 years later upon the rock of Peter, apostolic authority in my ass. So anyway, it's apostolic authority based upon the rock of Jesus Christ, and the authority was never removed from the earth. But anyway, that's my belief. But the LDS don't believe that either. They believe there had to be a restoration of all things. But what? It was only animal sacrifice. But still, they don't go running to the police. They keep things undercover, which I didn't commit any crime in the Mormon church. But this, swearing in a church which I don't recall, or saying something to a woman, discriminating, even some type of sexual discrimination against her. I don't know what I said. They won't tell me. Something like, go after yourself or something. I don't know, and they will never tell me, and I may never find out. This is worse situation because somebody was out to destroy me. And I don't know if it's a white girl, black girl, whatever. I don't think, because the pastor got really upset about it because he's lived in Africa with all the blacks. He said, that's discriminating already. You can't put it in a category like that. I'd love to find out if it's a white girl, because I don't really trust white women, because they're not approachable. You can go up and compliment a white woman and she's on the phone ready to call the cops, because every guy that approaches them, is some type of freak or something, But in the Asian culture and that, they're approachable, and they can be very Christian as well. So I don't know if it was not a white woman and it was another culture, I would be very shocked. But I'll never know. I may never know. And the ones, see, it's not that the person that I think it could have been that person could have said something to somebody, and then somebody said it to the pastor. But the pastor says the person that I supposedly discriminated against was not that person that I mentioned. So somebody completely out of the realm of who I socialize with. Because I've sat with the same group for 3 years, off and on. Mainly guys, occasionally a sister will sit down and whatever, but no, we just talk about God and the Lord. So I have no friggin' idea what happened tonight. I'm shocked, but it's given me a soft spot for the Latter-day Saint Mormon Church. Look, if the Grace Church is bullshit like this, and all the churches are bullshit like this, as the warning the people guy on YouTube has spoken against, saying we don't need any church, not even a Grace Church, but we do need grace and the real Jesus, then it doesn't matter what church you go to then, as long as you're a Grace Christian in your heart. I could go back to the Mormon church, but I'm a Grace Christian at heart. I'm not going to give praise to man, prophet, pope, a priest, bishop, whatever. Certainly not going to give praise to a pastor. This little bossy boots was like ready to fight. It was like, I've never seen anything like it. Because in the LDS church, they're all prim and proper, and they don't act physically tough. They act spiritually tough. The toughness is in how they speak. But this guy was moving around. He's like ready to box me. It doesn't matter, because it wasn't him that upset me the most. It was that other, well, I call him a devil now. He was a great guy when I first met him, but he was quiet. And my dad always said, don't trust a quiet person like that. He was defending me a few times in the Bible study. Let him speak, let him speak. He's been through a lot. And yet next thing he's cut like a cut snake, and he's saying, I know this person would not lie who said you discriminated by saying something in the church. And then it said that if you go around and fish and find out who this person is, and you start digging and diving, we're going to report you, have you arrested, and you'll be fined $1,000, or who knows. I just don't know what it is. Anyway, nobody's online, so I'm not getting much support tonight. My chips are low and I'm down, and all the times I've made videos live, normally people come on and have a good chat. But tonight I'm left alone. I'm walk alone with my Savior, my Lord. But at least they told me I wasn't damned. I'm not going to hell. I haven't lost my salvation. But I could never return to the church. I said, well, how about some time? Nope, you're removed. And he said it was so disgusting for a person to swear in the church or say something derogative sexually about a woman, which I cannot recall, because I do not think for a moment I'd speak like that in the church. Out of the church, it's possible. I mean, I could, so a woman swears at me, I'll swear back. I know I shouldn't, but but not in the church. So I don't know if I've been framed or not, but I'm out of there. Thank you for listening, who watches this video in the future. Amen. I will now have more compassion for the Latter-day Saint Church cult, because as far as I'm concerned, the Grace Church committees, programs, is also a cult. The Grace message is not a cult. The Gospel of Paul who wrote half or more of the New Testament, the good news of the gospel. But no, this is different. This committee thing is just man-made rules and gutless because they just go to the police. They even sort it out and receive a revelation to give me a second chance. So stuff this particular Grace Church. So there are other Grace churches. There's quite a few different divisions, actually. I walked into a Romanian church, and they were like vampires at first, from Romania and Transylvania, those places. And I didn't get a welcome. But the second time I went, they welcomed me. Everything. See, they're watching to see if I was going to come back. I wouldn't do that as a pastor. I would welcome people if it was their first day, dressed nicely or not. But I could go to that church. So there's other churches. And they're more Orthodox, born again, which is interesting, very strong. Anyway, I love you all. Good night. One person's still online. I'm going. There's no comments, so I'm out of here. Watch my video and find out what actually happened to me tonight. Amen. Bye.